Parent Resource Center. I want to thank our planning committee, which included Jana Dressel, Dave Rosenblatt, was there anyone else, Jana? And Kathleen Donovan, who is my colleague at the Parent Resource Center. She sends her regards. She had a family deal to handle this weekend. So she's, for all of you that know Kathleen, she's at everything, but she had a good excuse for today. So welcome. I have the privilege of introducing our panel members this morning. And I'm going to start with our wonderful self-advocates. And our first advocate is Vuong. Vuong is a 22-year-old autistic individual who communicates via spelling on the letterboard. Vuong notes that being able to communicate has changed his life, now he is able to take college classes at Nova. Vuong notes that his possibilities are limitless and believes that other autistics can learn as he does, and he will continue to advocate for them. Thank you, Vuong. I also want to welcome his communication partner this morning, Vuong Pham, who is Vuong's mom. So thank you. Next is Justin Boatner. Justin is a PEP student at the Career Center. He is an athlete without limits and rows all over the world. Justin is the team captain for Athletes Without Limits. He is a leader in the Order of Self-Determination. He's also a leader in Best Buddies and has attended multiple leadership conferences with this organization. Justin takes culinary arts at the Career Center, and he's interned at the Sugar Shack Officers Club at Fort Myers, Great Harvest Bread, and the Walter Reed Community Center. Yummy. He's a kind leader, and also Justin is a very passionate advocate. Thank you, Justin. Next to Justin is our Christina Eagle. Christina is the transition coordinator for the Arlington Career Center. Christina began a career as the first student to ever graduate from Marymount University with an undergraduate degree in special education. In 2008, she earned her master's degree in special education with an emphasis in adapted curriculum, and, if not enough, in 2018, she earned a second master's in special education, transition education. Christina has been teaching for the past 14 years and has taught at preschool, elementary, high school, and post-secondary level. She's particularly passionate, and I know this, about using data to plan for students' futures, advocating for work-based learning, and empowering students with self-determination skills. Outside of work and school, she is a mom, a proud mom, I might say, to 3 awesome kids, her Grace, Emma, and Jack. And let's see, next to Christina, we have Kat Trovato, who is an inclusion coordinator at Arlington County Therapeutic Rec. And she is also one of the Therapeutic Recreation programmers. Kat has been working with the county since May 2015. She has over 15 years experience working with people of all ages and abilities. Kat enjoys helping people reach their goals and breaking down barriers to recreation. I know probably everyone here in this room knows Kat or her colleagues at Therapeutic Rec. She's been awesome in working with our kids and our families. Kat spends her leisure time outdoors, playing in nature, and or with friends exploring the Nova area. Finally, we have Tana Jamelske. Tana is the niece and parent of people with disabilities and significant support needs. 5 years ago, she helped found the Arlington Inclusion Task Force to work collaboratively with Arlington Public Schools to change the paradigm for how the district educates students with significant disabilities. That group now has nearly 300 members. Tana is also a member of the Arlington Special Education Advisory Committee and SEPTA, and is the vice chair for inclusion of the APS Advisory Committee on Instruction. We're happy for Tana in that on Monday, she will transition from a 20-year career in climate change policy and law to helping to establish a national nonprofit civil rights organization focused on the 4 million people in the U.S. who have speech-related disabilities. So congratulations, Tana. Finally, I just wanted to mention mention that notably absent today from our panel is Judy Apostolico Buck, affectionately known to us as Judy AB. She was planning on being here this morning. She emailed yesterday she has a family emergency, and she feels terrible about not being here. She apologizes profusely and sends her best. As she said, inclusion is a subject very near and dear to her heart. So she's a great proponent of inclusion, so positive thoughts to Judy this morning. Okay.
So David and I, is this working? Yeah, are going to be asking our panelists some questions.
I wanted to invite Paul to come up on stage as well, in case you want to participate.
All right, so I think it's okay. We'll start with our student advocates because I think their message and their experience is invaluable. So if we could start with Vuong. If you want to talk a little bit about your own experiences with inclusion or positive, negative, sort of what you're up to now, or if you have any thoughts that you want to share with the audience. Open book.
I am H O M O R E D. I am honored. T O 2 E E H E R E. I'm honored to be here. I am T A K I N G. I am taking C L A S S E S. I'm taking classes. A T at O V A at Nova. Ready? A M D and T H E the P R O N E S S O R S and the professors. T R E A T tree and me S O T H E R as other S T U B E N T S. Treat me as other students. S O so D O do T H E so do the S T U D E should be.
Thank you, Juan, for that thought, and I will ask Justin the same question if that's okay.
Thank you. I'm greatly honored to be here. Give my experience into what it's been like through many years of going through floating classrooms. I'm at birth now. Alright, where do I start? In elementary school, it was inclusive and non-inclusive, but really moderate. And my experience, I needed help to keep up with a lot of work I ended up doing. At the starting in middle school, was when stuff got a little difficult. But the following 2 years, I was able to go into life skills, and I was able to get a lot of support and help from her in that. Starting in high school was really difficult for me. I had to transfer schools from Washington Lee to Wakefield, and just to have a brief period where I had a teacher I can work with peacefully, but that did not last for a very long time. Like all good things, everything comes to an end, and the last 2 years of high school were not the best years. I went into band and growing to feel more included, and that is where I joined the studies to be a director. Coming to PEP after my graduation from high school was a bit rocky. There was a few hard challenges to overcome, but it was a breath of fresh air in the sun. I got all the kind and love, and support from the program. And I had teachers who understood me, who watched out for me. And I was there. There were hard challenges. I'm going to talk about the CT classes I did. There was only one, but I went into the culinary program at our school, and that was where I met my wonderful culinary instructor, Chef Randolph. And thanks to her, she was able to give me a lot of confidence and the ability to thrive in something that I love and care about doing. And culinary is like being a part of a own team. It's a whole family of people who support you. And the people in that family are always watching out for each other and helping each other out when needed. The internships I had Officers Club, Sugar Shack, and Great Harvest, which were excellent culinary experiences throughout them, and they helped me gain confidence. They taught me a lot of new skills and unique things about culinary that I never knew, like being lenient with dress codes and always having someone there to support you when you need it. I liked working at bakeries. Everyone in the two bakery internships were accepting and there were opportunities for me to even get a job at doing my internships in the past. Being in CTE has changed my life and made me a better person because of the experience. My abilities to lead others has been challenging. I am a rowing captain, and there's been many short challenges ahead of me. But like all challenges, there's always ways to overcome them with accommodations and support from our own captains. So thank you for coming out.
Well, I think we'll just kind of make our way down and talk to Christina for a minute. So as transition coordinator, if you could explain your role a little bit and your experience, what that role has sort of taught you, and then for the audience, if you could talk a little bit about where you'd like to see Arlington headed in terms of inclusion in the future.
Well, thank you guys for having me. It's great. The movie was really awesome, and I think it really highlighted some strategies in terms of moving forward into the real life. So one of the things that going into this that I was thinking about during the movie as well is one of the, I think, the privileges of working at the Career Center and with PEP in particular is that for all students, is that their academic experience may have been filled with challenges, and what is exciting about PEP, and I think that work-based learning, is that students get to really dive into what they can do. And that is what education should be about, right? What are our strengths and how do they translate into the real world? So that is always exciting to see students come alive with their passions, what they care about, and move forward in terms of that. Some things that I saw in the movie that made me kind of excited, having just finished that second master's, is seeing the circles of support played out, and also the emphasis on social capital. And those are really good strategies to build natural supports in an individual's life. And if you think about it, we all have our own circles of support that we naturally have. I don't think I've had a big decision in my life that I haven't talked to my best friend, to my mom, to my husband, and we go through them to process what we're going through, and it's important to have that natural support for everyone. And sometimes that needs to be more structured for some people than others. So I love that we saw that and sort of how that helped Micah move forward in his life. The other thing about social capital with Naomi, of going through with people that they know and where do they work, and that's all network, and we call that community mapping. And that is really important to look at what our networks are, because that's where we do that in our own professional lives. So it's great to see that. I think in terms of the beautiful thing about inclusion is that everybody is valued. Everybody is bringing something to the diversity of the classroom that brings value. And if we start that at a young age and we continue that through an educational experience, I think what that leads to is to, when people go out into the workforce, that we have a community of diversity and love and respect and value for everyone. So I think as we move forward in education, we need to definitely emphasize inclusion, but also that what is everyone bringing and what can people bring and value in the whole classroom, and how does that translate into work?
My microphone, okay, yes, okay. So in my line of work, we have a phrase called the biggest worst, which is about what is the thing, across all the things you're looking at, where could you be putting your energy to make the biggest impact and make things better? And so I'm curious for Kat and for some of our other panelists, in the area of inclusion work that you do, what do you think we should be, as a community, investing in to lower barriers and improve outcomes for people that you're connected with?
Yeah, sure, you give me the tough question. Well, anyone who knows me knows that I can talk about inclusion for forever, so if you need to cut me off, just let me know. An easy, big picture answer is just more inclusion, because a lot of people in this room, I'm sure, would agree with me that inclusion makes everything better. It makes us better as therapists, it makes us better as programmers, it makes us better as peers, it makes us all better. So just doing it more. And I think that major barriers that I see in the work that I do in the community and in Department of Parks and Recreation is just the unknown and how to tackle that. We have done this thing for so long the same way over and over again, and now, wait, you're asking me to change? I don't deal well with change. Lots of us don't deal with change. And so when change is being thrust upon you, it's, whoa, gotta take a minute. So I think that the more that we do it and the more that we support each other in doing it, the more success we're going to have and the less barriers that we're going to see. I believe 100% in a team approach. I don't believe that you should just be like, include me, and that be the end of the story. I am not an expert in everything. I don't know everything. And so we have to come together as teams in order to really work together to find these barriers, really identify what these barriers are, because they're not a person, they're not a particular activity. They're so much deeper and so much more personalized than that. So as a team, if we can come together to really figure out what these barriers truly are, and then work together to figure out how we can overcome them, we will be better.
As a parent and parent advocate, can you talk a bit about what you think is going really well in the work, and then also circle back to this question of where we can have more impact?
Yeah, so I'll sort of answer both at the same time. I've been working on this for about 5 years. I have zero educational training background in schools or anything. I'm just sort of a parent, and I've learned a lot over the past 5 years, reading a lot of the literature and watching a lot of movies like this and seeing how it can be done. And I guess one of the things I've really observed and learned and taken in even within APS is that it's actually really not that hard. So yes, you have to sort of see it work in some ways. And I think in many ways, seeing it either on video or in real person is almost like 80% of it, because you haven't been in that mindset. So to me, it's about mentality and expectation. So if the expectation is sort of within the school system that everyone deserves to be there, everyone has a right to be there, and we're going to educate everyone. At least in my personal experience as well, like it works. It's 98% of it is mentality and expectation, and we're going to make this work. So if there's an issue or there's something not going smoothly, you don't blame the kid, right? You say, oh, well, there must be something I'm doing wrong. I'm clearly not supporting the situation well enough, so let me figure out how to improve the situation. And once you sort of have that basic expectation and mentality that this kid deserves to be here, and we will do what we need to do to make it work, to me, that's it. I don't want to talk too much about my personal situation, but I mean, we've really seen night and day, and I've heard that from many, many other families in APS, school to school. And to me, that is evidence that it's not that hard, right? Like, if a school is doing it brilliantly and is including kids with really significant special needs, I mean, there's nothing fundamentally different about that school as compared to the school a mile away who isn't yet there, So to me, it's really just changing expectations from leadership and from, within the school system and within each individual school as well.
So we didn't get a chance to introduce Paul Jamelske earlier, who I think most people know is our Director of Special Education in APS. I'm really glad to have him here and to have his support for this work in the district. I wanted to share, to echo Tana's story, my family moved from Washington, D.C. to Arlington for inclusion, right? For this county's vision of inclusion of students with complex needs and communication needs. And so I'm really excited to be a part of the work that's happening here. I'm wondering, Paul, if you're able to talk a little bit about the district's commitment to this work and how you see it as going, and anything you think that folks can be doing to back it up and support it from all the perspectives we're coming from.
So thank you. I would agree with all of the other comments that have been shared by our panelists, including the students. One of the things that I would say regarding inclusion, particularly for students, is we want to be thinking of the courage that it takes for a student to move into an inclusive setting if they have not had that opportunity previously. There are going to be challenges, and every day is not going to be easy, but with courage and a collective team approach with support, including families, school staff members, teachers, administrators, students, everyone who's involved working together, that helps to make inclusion a more positive experience. I would say that my belief is that the most important thing to support inclusion is an open mind. It doesn't necessarily cost a lot of money, although some funding for additional staffing or assistive technology or other resources is always beneficial. The most important thing to support inclusion is an open mind and a can-do approach. And as was mentioned earlier, Judy A.B., who is currently principal at Barcroft Elementary, is one of our principal partners who is very pro-inclusion, and she has a can-do attitude and approach and tries to support inclusion with students who are in her school building, and that's one example of how she provides one example of how that can work well. So continuing to spread the message about inclusion and open mind, sometimes starting small, as Kat mentioned, as inclusion grows and spreads, and it happens more, and people see it more, they get comfortable with it, they get used to it, then it has an opportunity to grow and thrive. So can-do positive attitudes and approaches, and just opening doors and opening minds is the biggest thing towards promoting inclusion from my perspective.
Thanks. We had hoped to have time for a little bit more discussion, but we are out of our time, and so we need to wrap up. We are so honored that all of you decided to spend part of your Saturday morning watching this film with us and having this conversation. There will be more opportunities to have this conversation via SEPTA and via the work of SEPTA's Inclusion Task Force. There is a sign-up sheet over here if people would like to get involved or get more information about the work of the Inclusion Task Force, and folks will be around to discuss afterwards.